plant nutrition. Leaf structure. The external part of a leaf consists of a lamina, that is also called leaf blade, connected to the stem by a petiole, that is also known as leaf stalk. The lamina is a thin structure in which many cells are held in well-illuminated positions. The whole leaf is supported by a system of branching veins that form a fine network throughout the lamina. This figure shows the internal structure of a leaf. The upper epidermis is a single layer of irregular, closely packed cells covered by a layer of waxy cuticle. The cuticle protects the epidermis and prevents excessive water loss through evaporation. It is transparent to allow sunlight to pass through. Epidermal cells contain no chloroplasts. Palisade Mesophyll cells are columnar in shape and closely packed. They contain a lot of chloroplasts to increase absorption of sunlight for photosynthesis. They contain a lot of chloroplasts to increase absorption of sunlight for photosynthesis. Spongy mesophyll cells are irregular in shape with numerous intercellular air spaces around them to allow for fast diffusion of carbon dioxide, which enters the leaf through the stomata, moving to all photosynthetic cells. They contain fewer chloroplasts than Palisade Mesophyll cells. They are covered with a thin film of moisture so that carbon dioxide can dissolve in it. The lower epidermis is also a single layer of closely packed cells covered by a layer of waxy cuticle. Guard cells are bin-shaped, chloroplast-containing cells located in the lower epidermis. They control the opening and closing of the stoma, that is the gap between the guard cells. The stoma to allow carbon dioxide to diffuse in, oxygen to diffuse out and water vapor to escape. Mode of operation of guard cells. Plants open their stomata during the day for carbon dioxide intake and close their stomata during the night to minimize water loss through transpiration. Guard cells control the opening and closing of stomata through regulation of water potential within themselves. Photosynthesis in guard cell chloroplasts provides the energy for the uptake of potassium ions into the cell. This lowers the water potential within the guard cells, causing water to enter by osmosis. This causes the cells to become curved such that the stoma opens. When there is excessive water loss, even during the day, the guard cells lose turgor and become flaccid, causing the stoma to close.
A leaf is like a plant's food factory, and its parts work together to get the reactants into one place so that photosynthesis can happen. Let's start with sunlight. Have a look at a leaf. The top of it is exposed to the most light, so the cells specialized for trapping light are on top. These cells are called Palisade Mesophyll, and they're packed full of chlorophyll, the green chemical that plants use to absorb light. That's why the top side of the leaf is darker than the bottom side. You should also note that most leaves have a large surface area, so they can trap as much sunlight as possible. What else do we need for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide. That's where the bottom of the leaf comes in. It's got these little pores called stomata, which open up so carbon dioxide can diffuse into the leaf. They're controlled by sausage-shaped guard cells, which open up to let carbon dioxide in, but they can also close the stomata to prevent other things like water from escaping. So the carbon dioxide comes in through the stomata, makes its way through the gaps in an airy layer of cells called the spongy mesophyll at the bottom part of the leaf, and then heads up to the palisade layer for photosynthesis. Leaves are thin so that the carbon dioxide won't have too far to travel. So we've got sunlight and carbon dioxide now. What's left? Water. Water comes up through the roots and stem and enters the leaf through a vascular bundle, which contains a hollow tube for water transport called the xylem. Look at how the vascular bundle spreads out in the leaf to form veins so that it can spread water throughout. So now the leaf's palisade cells have water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight, All they need to photosynthesize and make glucose, their food, and oxygen. But how does the leaf prevent unwanted intruders like bacteria from getting in and stop important reactants from escaping? Above the Palisade Mesophyll and below the spongy mesophyll are epidermis cells which produce a waxy coating called the cuticle. The cuticle seals up the leaf so that the only way in and out is through the stomata, which are regulated by those guard cells. Now let's go back through the parts of a leaf, from top to bottom. We've got the thin waxy cuticle, then the epidermis cells. These basically make up the leaf's skin. Then comes the chlorophyll-rich Palisade Mesophyll, where the bulk of photosynthesis occurs. Below that's the spongy mesophyll, which have plenty of space in between them for reactants to move through. Through that space stretches the vascular bundle, with xylem to transport water and phloem, which transports sugars after photosynthesis. And below that, we've got another layer of epidermis and cuticle. Spaced around the lower epidermis and the cuticle are the stomata, with guard cells on either side. Leaves come in all different shapes and sizes. Look at a cabbage leaf and an oak tree leaf. But most of them have these same parts in common, which allow them to get their reactants in and perform photosynthesis.